Hey friends, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are in the Netherlands in Utrecht, and we are gonna visit the Grand Hotel Karel 5, and in there they have a one Michelin star restaurant with the same name, and that's what we're gonna review today. The dining room has a very classical vibe to it, and the table setting is also in that direction. I appreciate when the tablecloth has been ironed, which was not the case here. The menu offers a la carte and set menus with 4, 5 and 6 different dishes to choose from. I went with the 6-course menu, and first we were presented with 3 different snacks. The turnip really came through in the choux pastry, and it was a pleasant bite to eat. The brawn with trout was a little bit one-dimensional for me. I lacked a little bit of finesse in this snack. The star of all the snacks was the scallop tart. The citrus and the lovage really came through in a very pleasant way, and it was very enjoyable to eat. Now, bread servings can come in many different ways, and here it came in a form of a present. It was a rye type of sourdough bread in form of a loaf. It was served with a high quality French butter. The bread had a crispy surface and a deep sourdough flavor. Sometimes bread servings doesn't have to be more complicated than this. It was really good. Next we were presented with the signature dish of the chef Leon Masarac. It changes throughout the seasons, but is a bouquet of different fresh vegetables that is sourced in nearby gardens. The first thing that struck me while eating this dish was not actually the food, but the spoon and fork that was meant to eat with. They were extremely difficult to hold in your hand when you were eating it, and was a little bit disturbing, the whole experience. Besides that, as you could probably guess, it was a really fresh dish, and the vegetables were of really high quality. And the chef also used some local flowers to infuse a vinaigrette with, so it was a lot of floral notes also that came through this dish. Well balanced, fresh, and a good start of the menu. Next on the menu came a crab dish, which had shredded oxtail meat underneath, crab meat on top, and then there was an oxtail consomme that was poured in the table. On the side there you had a small bagnette with some Ossetra caviar on top. On top of the dish were a pomme soufflé, which gave a little texture to the dish. The flavors in this dish were really subtle, and you can really sense the different flavors of the crab meat and the oxtail meat. The consomme that was poured onto the dish really brought everything together in a nice and juicy way. Even though this was a very well-balanced dish between the crab and the oxtail, I was maybe looking for some acidity to lighten up the dish. Not because it was specifically fatty, but because it was quite heavy to eat throughout the dish. But overall, it was a very delicate and enjoyable dish to eat. Next up was an oyster dish with Roscoff onions, and on the side a seaweed financier with the oyster emulsion on top. Even though I'm a huge fan of Roscoff onions, which have a very mild and pleasant flavor, the combination here together with the sea land oyster didn't really work for me. The oyster was set in the background, and the onion took a little bit too much flavor in front here. The seaweed financier that was on the side to the oyster here was a little bit awkward to eat. when you're normally used to a financier being very sweet, and here it was on the savory side and put together with the oyster. It didn't really work for me, and this whole dish was a little bit of a letdown. Moving on to a ravioli dish that had some local cheese filling, and then also a smoked beurre blanc and some green kale. This dish was good, but it wasn't anything really special. I was hoping for the cheese to come out more from the ravioli and to the sauce to be a little bit more flavorsome. When you are in a one Michelin star restaurant, you would expect a dish at a higher level than this one. Then came a fish dish off the menu. This was a grilled monkfish with some vegetables and some crispy potatoes. Now, monkfish is one of my personal favorite fishes to eat. It has a really meaty texture and it's not as flaky as other fishes. It's very pleasant to eat and it can stand tough flavors. Paired here with sauce choron, and choron sauce is like a béarnaise sauce, but it has a tomato base in it as well. And with the crispy potato and the vegetables on the side, this was a very pleasant dish to eat, but nothing wow. I was missing something truly special so far in the menu, but when I saw this dish arrived and the serving staff starting plating it, I understood that something good was going on. Boucher à la reine, and this one was filled with wild boar and a generous piece of sweet bread on the top, and then a truffle sauce that was poured tableside. What I really liked was that they actually left the saucepan on the table so I can add some additional sauce throughout the meal. These type of gestures I really appreciate by the service staff. This dish hit the spot. The crispiness from the puff pastry and the creaminess inside it and the sweet bread on the top and the sauce that just brought everything together. Really good, again classical flavors that I really appreciate, and it really had that depth of flavor that I was looking for, or rather missing throughout so far in the menu. After that fantastic main dish came a cheese plate. Now, I saw that they had all the cheeses underneath cupboards in the dining room. They didn't have it on a trolley, and the service staff just sliced up a plate there on the side without the guests even seeing that. I can understand the convenience of why you would do so, but having the cheeses on the trolley and having the theater of actually coming to the table with all the cheeses and asking the guest, what cheeses they would like to have served on their cheese plate, it's pretty magical when you do that right. That said, the cheeses were local and of great quality and very enjoyable to eat. I did though miss maybe something a little bit sweet to have on the side here together with the cheeses. From the cheese we move straight into the main dessert. It was a coffee caramel, chocolate and celeriac flavor combination. It worked decently well, but for me it was more style over substance. When you only have one dessert on your tasting menu, you have to make sure that that is the absolutely best dessert that you can put out anytime, anywhere. And this was not the case here.
And it has two different types of bonbons. The golden yellow one is with banana and salted peanuts, and the other one is with coffee. And also three different spices. This one is in Paris with hazelnut caramel, een pie with blood orange and saffron, en Miserable is from Belgium, is with een pie with almonds and vanilla.
The three different bonbons were my favorites from the coffee candy cart. They were unique in their flavor profiles and had a deep chocolate flavor to them. The Paris Brest and the orange tart were not really to my liking, especially the Paris Brest was, the pastry wasn't crispy, it didn't feel that it was freshly made. I've had better in much simpler cafes in Paris, to be honest. Alright, let's summarize this meal, shall we? So, as usual, we're using the 100-point scale here to score our restaurant. So, I'm putting the food rating at 86 points. It wasn't the best one Michelin star restaurant I've been to, but it's good enough and it's in that territory. I absolutely agree with the guide about that. Service rating I'm putting at 87 points, and that trumps the food a little bit. And I have to say that it was up to a certain lady that was in the dining room who served me throughout the evening, and she had a great hawk eye on everything that was happening there, and I think without her this evening would not have been as good as it actually was. Now, if you look at the bill that's coming up here to the left, the total value was 195.5 euros, and I actually had half a wine package with that. And yes, you can ask to have a half a wine package if you don't want full glasses served. Normally, you can the restaurant will have no problem at offering you that. And all of this together, I mean, with the coffee and the water throughout the meal, 195 euros is a pretty decent price for that. So I'm actually putting the value rating here at 88 points. So this brings the total score to 87 points, which is, you know, decent enough. It's not the best in this category of fine dining on a Michelin star level, but it's good enough. And I think, I mean, if you are in Utrecht and if you're looking for a place in this direction, I mean, it's absolutely worth a visit. So guys, thanks for watching this time, and I hope to see you next time, and behave.